Hello and welcome to Style by Design. I'm Maria Miller. Today I'm sitting down with Mikey Koffman, the owner of Gallery LA in Los Angeles. She's a force to reckon with, but always a positive attitude to be around. Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you.
So you have this incredible story, growing up a white kid in a housing project in Culver City, California. What was your childhood like?
Crazy. Let's see, drive-by shootings, drug dealers, yeah, you name it, we ran the gamut there. Fighting every day to walk into the projects and other projects just to go to school, so it was a pretty hectic lifestyle.
Cool, you went to high school in Culver City.
Went to high school at St. Monica's in Santa Monica.
Good little Catholic girl.
A lot of Hail Marys.
So did you go to college after school?
I actually did not. I took a semester of junior college, and I gotta be honest, I hated school. It was really rough for me, and just from growing up to trying to go to school, and it was a really tough time and challenging, and my grandfather that raised me as his child passed away during my high school years, so I just had a really rough time, a lot of challenges to overcome, and I took a semester of college and I was done. So everything I've done has been on experience.
So you're definitely street smarts.
100%, yeah. Probably not the best book smarts, but definitely not a street smarts.
Eventually you made your way down to Long Beach, and you had a career at West Coast Choppers.
I did. I helped Jesse James start his first motorcycle shop. It was a really small shop in Paramount. And then we moved down to Long Beach to my friend's shop down there, and he rented that shop and took over from there and kind of started building an empire. What
was it like being a female in the motorcycle business?
Well, as you can imagine, you're a female. I'm sure you've been in some challenging careers that have been male-dominated. What's the word I should use to describe it? It was hell. It was hell, pretty much. It's really hard being a woman in a male-dominated field, trying to get your footing and establish some respect between all the men. And it's not just a normal field to be in that's male-dominated. It's a very macho field to be in. But my favorite part of being in the bike industry and leaving Jesse and opening my own bike shop was when bikers would come by our booths at the trade shows and be like, "Where's Mikey? He told me I could come by and get a free T-shirt," And that's how you always knew that I was like, "Oh, Mikey's not here right now." Because if they thought I was a he, right, I would know that they didn't know me. So it was kind of the long-running joke.
And that bike shop you opened was called Sin City?
Sin Cycles.
And how long did you have that?
Had that shop for about 5 years. I closed it around 9/11. We built custom bikes and then morphed into a clothing line that went international in its first year. And I was actually supposed to be on the United 93 flight coming back from New York on 9/11. I was out in New York at a big trade show, a big convention out there. So my bags were actually on that flight. So it really changed my life in a day, but I did lose everything.
You lost all your product.
Everything. My product, and I had all my money from my bike shop invested in my new clothing line, so I literally lost my whole business in a day. Very grateful to be alive. There's so many people that lost their lives, but it was that was a big wake-up call for me. I feel like that's exactly when my life started over. I kind of ran everything in my life up until that point on fear. Fear of not having enough, fear of going back to the projects, fear of not making enough money, fear of not being able to afford my lifestyle, which wasn't very extravagant, but just a lot on fear. And I really learned after that big wake-up call to change how I did everything and run my life on love. So I'm very passionate about what I do.
When you finally got back to LA after that, how did you start over? What did you do? Did you transition into fashion immediately? Did you go into producing?
I took a year off and lost a year of my life doing drugs. For sure, yeah. I went into a very big depression. I lost my business. I was freaked out. I looked at my stubs every day. I was supposed to be on that flight. I had 2 people in my family die from cancer. My aunt, that's here right now, that works with us. Also, my aunt helped raise me, so we were very close, and she also had cancer, and she was not supposed to live. And she had a brand new baby, 6 months old. So there was a lot of turmoil in my family. And it was really depressing. So I pretty much isolated myself in my house and did a lot of drugs for a year to try to cope with getting through that time. And I'm very grateful I didn't have to go to rehab. I didn't have to, one day I woke up and I was like, this is it. I'm leaving Long Beach. I'm changing my life. I'm gonna go help my aunt, help her raise her son, and help her get through this because I didn't want to lose a 3rd family member to cancer.
Right.
So she's actually been a big inspiration for my life. knowing that if she can make it through her life with a double mastectomy, a hysterectomy, chemo, radiation, stem cell transplant, it kind of put my life to shame and my problems to shame.
Everything then that was coming down the line after dealing with what was going on with your aunt was nothing at that point.
After seeing her go through what she went through, I felt so ashamed to even think that my problems were problems. If that woman could raise a brand new baby through everything that she was going through, nothing compared to that.
So how did you transition then into fashion?
Well, after taking a year off, I was like, okay, I need to go back to work. What part of what I did for a living did I like? And I loved the PR marketing aspect of it. I knew that it was too soon for me to have my own company again. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I met a really interesting guy named Albert DeHaan, who had just launched Da Nang, and his brother's Joe's Jeans, Joe. So Albert and I met, and he hit on me. He said, I have to sleep with you. I said, well, that's not going to happen.
And you went to work for him?
And eventually I ended up going to work for him because he was very persistent. I worked for him for a couple years, and we launched Da Nang, and he launched Stitches Jeans and Rangoon, a really beautiful dress line. So I had a great experience with him. He had a beautiful office on Melrose, and I got to travel around the world actually and do things for him. We were in Paris, we were in Hong Kong. I mean, we went all over with Da Nang, and I got to see some really amazing things and work for a company that was very well established and had the funds to produce amazing fashion shows, which is how I got into the fashion business.
Your experience with him was almost like your college or your business school.
100%. I'm very hands-on. I would pick experience. For me, I wouldn't suggest it for everybody else, but for me, I'm a very hands-on person, so experience to me was 100 times better than any type of schooling I could get.
You're extremely instrumental in bringing Fashion Week to Los Angeles. We have it in New York, Miami, Paris, all of Europe. Why not LA? Why wasn't it already happening?
Well, Fashion Week started about 11 years ago here, and I did my first show on the roof of the Downtown Standard with IMG, which was amazing, and that was their first real Fashion Week here. And then they moved to Smashbox Studios in Culver City for 6.5 years, and I was one of their main producers down there. About 3.5 years ago, we're going into our 7th season, we moved it to Hollywood, which was awesome. It needed to come here, it needed to get out of the industrial area in Culver City and be where, when you think of Los Angeles, quintessentially what you think of is Sunset Boulevard, Robertson Boulevard, palm trees, like the whole Hollywood feel of it. So after all those years, we really needed to get it to Hollywood, and I think we've created a great platform. And everyone tries to compare LA to New York, and it's apples and oranges. New York is beautiful. It has a lot of inspiration on that runway, but not a lot of stuff that you're going to see go into production or see retailing. And I think what we've been really successful doing in our 7 seasons here in Hollywood is creating a fashion week that is catered towards the consumer and focusing on consumer-driven fashion.
What they see on the runway, they can buy in the store.
What they see is what they get, absolutely.
Now, when we have spoken before, you talked about it's difficult to get celebrities into the front row in Los Angeles. Why?
You know what? Great question. They'll get on they live here, they'll get on the plane, they'll fly to New York and support New York, and I really think it's really too bad because there's so many amazing designers that come out of Los Angeles. People think LA is only denim and t-shirts, and it's not true at all. We have Louis Vuitton here, we have Biscotti. I mean, we have some amazing, amazing designers here, and I really wish we could get the support of the celebrities, because at the end of the day, the celebrities bring the media bring the buyers, and it creates a whole different level of showcasing brands here. So what we're trying to actually focus on now for the upcoming seasons are celebrity-driven brands. Your Jessica Simpsons of the world who have created an empire. Your Nicole Richies who have amazing brands out there. So we're really trying to focus on this. LMFAO even is launching a line right now. So it's pretty funny. So we're trying to focus on entertainment-driven brands to really help the media get involved with Fashion Week here in Los Angeles.
What exactly, for people watching at home, Sally in Nebraska.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, what exactly does a fashion show or runway show producer do?
Every producer's different. I am extremely hands-on, so I would have to say I do everything with the help of my little angels.
Mikey's Angels.
That's right, Mikey's Angels, and they are great. We do everything. We provide a turnkey event, so it's very different, I think, than most traditional situations. We cast all the models, we solicit all the sponsors, the hair, the makeup. We come up with the hair and makeup looks for our brands. We invite the media. We do all of our own publicity for Fashion Week. So if it has anything to do with the fashion show that we've created, we're doing everything here.
So a young designer or a new designer can stage a show here at Gower Studios for under $100,000 because you'll show multiple designers in one day.
Far under $100,000. Our emerging designer show is a great platform. They can have a turnkey runway show for $3,500. So we select 5 emerging designers for our emerging designer show. And actually we do a lot of work with KTLA. We have a big thing going on with them, a competition with them. So somebody will win a free show. But our emerging designer show, I think, is one of my favorite shows because we get to see a lot of new talent, a lot of fresh faces, and really innovative designs on the runway. And it's $3,500 and it's all turnkey. We provide everything for them.
So do you work with the Fashion Institute downtown at all to showcase graduating designers there?
We have worked with FITM before. They have a little bit different of a platform than what we do, but we're actually working with FITM to pull in a couple of designers for our emerging designer program.
If somebody wanted to come out to Los Angeles and work in fashion or fashion production, would you say start here or go to New York or get experience anywhere at their local mall?
I think at their local mall. Stay out of the business, it's crazy. No, I think it's really interesting. You have to really know what you want to do. If your end-all be-all is to end up in this high fashion place, then yeah, you want to go to New York, you know, and do an internship there. New York internships are practically about 2 years. It's a really rigorous internship program in New York. New York is far more hardcore than we are here. I feel like in LA here, if you're really trying to get into event production and entertainment, this is the place where you should be.
So do you consider yourself a producer or in the fashion?
I feel I can't even draw stick figures. So for me to try and draw anything or do a flat sketch of anything that might come down that runway, I would have to have a little bit more knowledge of that to be, I would consider myself in the fashion business. Although it's the business that I work in, it's very different. I love looking at an empty parking lot that's all busted up going, I know it's going to be here, it's going to be big, it's going to be beautiful, we're going to have a tent, we're going to have chandeliers, we're going to have carpeting, like it's going to be gorgeous. And so many people can't envision that. I think you and I had that conversation about looking at an empty canvas, a blank canvas, and knowing what's going to be created there, and that's what I'm really passionate about.
Do you find, because you can see images on a blank canvas, that when you're trying to sell the event to sponsors or bringing celebrities in, that they have a hard time? And how do you go about getting them to see the image without it being there?
That was one of the toughest things we've ever had to deal with, was trying to sell something that they couldn't really see, that wasn't tangible, that they couldn't touch. That was really frustrating. So we brought in a really great videographer that created some amazing videos from us for our last few shows that made that our main selling tool and much easier for us to be able to pitch a show. When they can see other celebrities there, when they can see other sponsor activations in the video. So photography and video, key element to what we do. Because it tells our story, and we need to be able to tell somebody our story if we're trying to bring them in.
With bringing people in and social media nowadays, are you going to do anything where they can interact online while a show is going on?
Our last season, we were broadcast live for an hour long at 8 p.m. at prime time. It was probably the most magical night of my life, I will say. That's never been done in LA or New York or anywhere, live broadcasted show. I don't think it gets much more interactive than that. People were able to tweet in and text in, and we had a ticker running across the bottom. You know, they can give shout outs to everybody. And what we want to turn that platform into is something that you can text in to buy what you see and create an immediate to purchase runway show.
So instant gratification.
We've also had live webcasts and have our live feeds of our fashion shows. I mean, we have a lot of social interaction going on. We had a Twitter lounge 2 seasons ago that was really successful. So we're really trying to keep on top of the social media. But I got to tell you, I rely on my girls here to do all that because I don't even know how to do it on my phone.
Being a producer, and the producer is the jack of all trades, putting out fires, smile. What has been one thing that sticks out in your mind over the course of producing shows that nobody knew about, but you saved the day?
We have had power. We've had a big loss of power, and thank God we are smart enough to pair with backup generators. You know, we've had subwoofers blow and technical things that you can't really. We had one show that was over 100 degrees. Yeah, so at the last minute we're piping in air conditioning and running with air conditioning. I mean, you're in production, the craziest thing that could go wrong if you don't prepare yourself for it, it goes wrong. I'm really lucky that we have a formula down, that everything kind of runs like clockwork now. Yeah, every show has its crazy things that happen, but I'm really lucky that we have a great team that knows what to do and go to that plan B.
And what would you say your biggest pet peeve is with producing?
People thinking that they should be sitting in the front row and their seat's not in the front row, and having to throw people out of the show for their bad attitudes.
Is that how you fix the problem with that?
We've thrown some celebrities out of seats that weren't theirs. It's, you know what, at the end of the day, we do a great job with our seating, and everybody just kind of needs to follow the rules, and if they can't play along and play nice, then we have to remove them.
What part of your work do you think is the most interesting?
Ooh, Most interesting. Gosh, I don't know. I got to tell you, I think coming to my office every day is very interesting. There's not one day that's the same here. Everything's different. And we have such a close-knit team here that we're like family, so we all know what's going on in each other's personal lives. And I mean, I think my most interesting days are just coming to my office every day. I love hearing about what's going on with the girls and sharing my drama and, you know, planning our trips. We're going to Vegas for our client Magic next week.
That's right.
And that's always a crazy thing. Getting 15 models together to stay in line in Las Vegas is tough.
So do you bring the models from Los Angeles or do you cast in Las Vegas?
100% from Los Angeles. We import them. We've tried to do a show once before in Las Vegas with some models in Vegas, and let's just say they weren't quite models, maybe models for hire. So in our experience, it's much better, and it's easier for us too. We do our fittings here, you know, do everything that we need to do for the show here, so it's easier for us to bring our girls out to Vegas.
What does creating make you feel like?
Amazing, in one word. I think that, again, going back to, I really love being able to change someone's mind and show them that the best motivation somebody could give me is to tell me that I can't do something. And it becomes a rat race, so like, okay, well, let me show you, this is how it's gonna happen. So I think creating and making something out of nothing is my biggest passion. Probably because resembles so much of my life. You know, growing up where I grew up, we grew up very poor. I remember being on welfare when we were a kid. I remember standing in line for county cheese. I remember doing all these things as a kid and knowing like I wasn't gonna go back to that life and live that way.
If your runway could talk, what would it say about you?
Get off the damn runway! Wow, if my runway could talk. Slow down, probably. Slow down.
And how would you describe your own fashion style?
I'm generally in jeans, a t-shirt, and Chucks every day, so I wouldn't consider myself somebody that has much style, but I don't know. If I find something I like, I'll probably have it in every color.
And what do you consider beautiful, or what is beauty to you?
A nice person. A really genuinely nice person. I have to tell you, we've encountered all walks of life here, dealing anywhere from our sponsors to our models to our designers. And there's nothing more beautiful to me than somebody who's honest and is full of integrity and really is passionate about what they do. To me, that's beauty.
If you had to choose another profession outside of producing and outside of fashion, what would it be?
Race car driving.
Do you drive fast on the streets here?
Oh, yeah.
And do you still have a motorcycle?
I do. My first chopper that I built at my shop, it's a custom motorcycle.
Does it have a name?
Greed.
Greed.
7 Deadly Sins, and that was the first of the 7 Deadly Sins that I built.
During your free time, what do you like to do?
Hang out at my house and hang out with my girlfriend. It's nice. We moved to a really nice house, and it's just very peaceful there. And on the weekdays, I love trying to get my girls out of the office to come hang out. They're a lot of fun to be with. So this is my family. It's my family. I'm pretty mellow outside of work. I'm not the person you're going to find in a bar, hanging out at a bar or club hopping. I'm going to be out with my girls at work during the week and probably with my girlfriend on the weekends.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you.
I'm Maria Miller, and this has been Style by Design with the Gallery LA at Sunset Gower Studios. If you're in Los Angeles during Fashion Week and you're really nice to Mikey, you might get a front row seat. So until then, have a stylish week.